For me, one good thing to start is always, particularly if I'm together with people I have not met personally, to come back to common humanity, to come back to that way of connecting with each other beyond personality and beyond our backgrounds. So if we open to that space, looking at the screen and connecting with the people there and the faces you don't know, but there's something within all of us we can connect with. Yeah? So we are all human beings and we have feelings and we struggle. We have our challenges, but also we have what the Tibetan tradition calls Buddha nature. So there's always this possibility to shift from, oh, I feel disconnected, these are people I don't know, to, hey, we are sitting in the same boat and we are working with the same impossible experience of being human, surrounded by so much suffering in the world. And at the same time, we have this potential of all of us to respond to our own experience and to what is happening in the world from a place of love and wisdom. And as soon as I say things like that, I can feel how something in me relaxes and opens. And I feel that I'm together with friends who don't judge me, but who are just open to connecting with each other. And it's a big area we cover in our meeting, from the United States to Europe, Scandinavia, Austria, Finland, Sweden. So it's beautiful to appreciate that we can connect as human beings. Transcending separation. And I would like to start the session with invoking the presence of Lama Yeshua. And I would like to read a little quote from my favorite book, which is Lama Yeshua's book, Introduction to Tantra. And he writes in that book, or it's a transcript of one of his teaching, dwelling deep within our heart and within the hearts of all beings without exception. So all beings without exception, so that is definitely including all of us here, every one of us. Dwelling deep within our heart and within the hearts of all beings without exception is an inexhaustible source of love and wisdom. An inexhaustible source of love and wisdom. And the ultimate purpose of all spiritual practices, whether they are called Buddhist or not, is to uncover and make contact with this essential pure nature. So the ultimate purpose of all spiritual practices is to uncover and make contact with that source of love and wisdom within all of us, which carries many names in different traditions. In Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, it's called Buddha nature. Yeah, but it's the source of love we all carry within us. And Lama Yeshua says that all spiritual practices are invitation for us to connect with that, make contact and experience that which is already whole, that which is already home, and that which was never touched by our reactivity and our traumas. And in the Tibetan tradition, there's kind of two different approaches to making contact, and one is the gradual path, the lamrim, the gradual path of awakening, which seems to say that we have to do something to experience our fundamental goodness in the future. And we have all benefited from this kind of practices, step by step, yeah, doing this and that and learning this and that and studying and purification and accumulating of merit, how is it called? But then there is also the direct path, which is in the FPMT embodied by the teachings of Lama Yeshua, which say something, hey, it's actually already here. It's just a matter of recognizing it. It's just a matter of noticing. It is already all empty. It's not something which is going to happen in the future if you are a good Buddhist boy or a good Buddhist girl, that in the future you will get there. But how about imagining or assuming, at least for now, that you already have everything you need to be complete. You have already everything you need to be whole, to be in peace in this moment. Kind of getting there by being there. Or as it is called in the tantric tradition, taking the result of the path into the path. Yeah. And that's what I want to emphasize a bit. So the direct path, the pointing out to that which is already whole, that which is already healed, that within you which never left home. And a challenge with a gradual path paradigm is, in a way, by continue to seek, continue to work. You emphasize the illusion that separation is real. And sometimes I think it's good to drop that idea. And so drop the idea that something is wrong with you and that enlightenment or liberation is something which is going to happen in the future. To explore the possibility by letting go of seeking, by letting go of the hope that there is something in the future which you have not acquired yet, which will make you whole, by letting go of that whole idea and just exploring the possibility, how about connecting or opening or revealing the natural peace which is available only now, only in this moment. And in our first meditation, I would like to explore that possibility with you. And after the meditation, we will have some time to discuss or get a bit into a dialogue. But yeah, I would like to invite you to slide into the space of present moment awareness. And I will guide this a little more as invitations, not as instructions. Yeah, so more as reminders of the loving presence, the deepest level of the Lama, the deepest level of the Guru, which is surrounding us and pervading all experiences. So if you make yourself comfortable and adjust your posture, and if you like, you can close your eyes, or if you keep your eyes open, they are relaxed and without looking particular at something. And then take your time to slide into your body with your awareness. You allow that to happen. And we can appreciate while we're doing it. So we're turning to our inner life, but at the same time, we stay aware that we make this journey together as a group. So nobody is alone. So you give yourself the permission to do nothing. And you allow the shift to happen from the head into the body, and from the doing mode of the day to being, just being here, and being who you are. And with awareness and breath, you welcome the guests and the guest house of your body, as if your breath and your awareness is a big hug, as if you are being hugged by your best friend. And you can combine the sliding into the body with the in-breath, and with the out-breath, there's a possibility to soften and to release in your belly and in your shoulders. And thoughts continue to arise, but they become less important. And you emphasize the spacious aliveness in your body. And maybe there's something of discomfort or of contraction in your body. And what we explore here is what happens if you let that be okay. And just make yourself bigger You let yourself be, you let this moment be what it is. With the in-breath sliding into the body, the belly, the shoulders, your hands. And so this is an invitation for you to be without any kind of pressure. And then if you notice that you get entangled into the inner dialogue, you just make this gentle movement back into the aliveness of your body. And staying aware that we are doing this together, that we are meeting in this space and touching and holding whatever is unresolved in us, or any kind of tiredness or anxiousness with kindness. And then returning and resting. Could you allow yourself to find a place of rest in the midst of your experience? Letting go of controlling and manipulating, fixing. And you notice that there's movements, there's the sensations in your body and the breath, and there's my voice and the sounds around you. There's your mood, your feeling state. And that is like the weather. It's changing, moving all the time. The display of your karma. There's a sense of I and the different aspects you think you are. But isn't there also something else? The spaciousness or calmness, which is surrounding and pervading everything you experience. There's the knowingness, the being awareness. There's presence. And that's where we can meet from heart to heart. So let this moment happen. Appreciating how everything is coming and going by itself. And at the same time, listen to the silence, to the stillness surrounding and pervading whatever you experience. And then returning if you get entangled, making a backward step into the witness consciousness. And if you notice that you want to get something or you want to get rid of something, see if you can relax the grasping like you would open a fist. Just opening a fist, the fist which wants to grasp. So allow yourself to gravitate to a place of contentment with what is in this moment. And with the in-breath, welcoming whatever arises as best as you can, holding softly, touching gently, particularly if there's some restlessness or confusion, tiredness, holding softly, touching gently with breath and awareness. And then rest. And whatever arises within you, you allow that to come and go in present moment awareness and spacious aliveness. Lama Yeshua says that you have everything available right now in order to be complete, to come to a place of no more seeking. So I invite you to lean into the fullness or the wholeness of this moment. Resting your exhausted heart in the lap of Prajnaparamita, the Great Mother, the Lama. Just resting. And resting not only for yourself, but for everyone else here in this group, but also resting in the lap of unconditioned love, of essence love, for the benefit of all beings. So bathing in loving awareness for the benefit of all. Because your pain is the pain of all of us. And the medicine for our pain, our shared pain, is bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. So you can open to this space also now in this meeting over the oceans, over the bound, uh, over the countries, boundaryless and centerless, timeless. Just bathing, as if you're taking a bath in loving kindness, in essence love, in the presence of our teachers and mentors, Lama Zopa, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Yeshua, and so on. And we can appreciate that in this moment. We are opening this space in this group, but also with us, there's countless people right now who are in the presence of the divine in their homes and in monasteries and churches. So, in a time of quiet prayer, you're never alone. And then you rest. Rely on silence, not on your thoughts. Rely on not knowing, just being here effortlessly. And returning, unhooking from the narrative self, forgetting yourself. There's nothing you need to understand right now, nothing you need to do. Rely on silence. And here I don't mean the silence by trying to get calmer or thinking less. Relying on silence means to listening with your heart to the silence which is always already here, the ocean of calm which is surrounding and pervading you. So relying on the silence which is in the background, but which can come more to the foreground if you allow it. If you allow it to reveal itself. And if something comes to the foreground within you, you allow that to happen. But you also stay connected with that which is bigger than you. What if you could, for a moment, let go of any self-improvement projects? What if there's actually nothing wrong with you? And then you rest. The breath happens, sensations in the body, sounds, my voice, and the sounds in your environment. That's the weather, and you are the sky. So just sitting quietly with the body like a mountain and the heart like the sky. Body like a mountain, the heart like the sky. Yes, so, and then if you have your eyes closed, you open them in your own space. Maybe you want to stretch a bit or change your position. But see if you can stay connected with the felt sense in your body. Your environment. And if possible, it would be nice if you could open your camera so that I talk to people and not to black spaces. Yeah, thank you. Right now, I don't have any idea what to say. So, is there any question, something you would like to ask me around the practice we just did, or what I said before? Maybe that can help me to get started. Yes, Karen, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for
Hi.
beautiful meditation so far.
Mm.
I was thinking as you were talking about the space that we're sensing, the calmness and the quiet pervading all. And I'm used to doing a meditation based on the awareness that my mind has, like awareness of the mind. So this seems like the complement to it.
Yeah.
So it's not really a question, just a observation.
What did you say? The awareness of
being aware that I'm aware.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that would be one of the instructions I also might use. I guess there's like different levels of experiencing what I try to point out, the silence or the space. The all-pervasive peace a sense of well-being which is independent from the weather. And that space, which is pointed here, is awareness itself, it's consciousness itself. So one way to point to that, and that's the problem, because in these kind of direct path teachings, Mahamudra practices, Dzogchen practices, what is pointed or what is transmitted in these teachings is ungraspable, undescribable. So it is not something anyone can kind of spoon feed to you or even really say something about. And so all we have is the different metaphors or pointers. And one of the pointers I could use is being aware of being aware, being conscious of being conscious. So usually we are fascinated by the objects of our awareness, which is in this moment now. I mean, if you're interested in what I'm saying, then probably you in the foreground of your awareness is what I say, or the mental the images, the screen, and maybe then there's something going on in you right now, which is quite in the foreground. So all of that is objects of awareness, and of course we can, and this is a lot what we do in our spiritual practice and our inner work is to improve the content of our experience. So that's an important part of our training. But the other direction to go in the Mahamudra tradition then is to become less curious about the content of your experience, and instead you become curious about the space within which the content is coming and going. And the space within which the content is coming and going, that is consciousness, that is awareness. And in the direct path methods, we explore that territory.
That's very helpful. Thank you. I can see the
What
benefit.
is, yeah, and
The
yeah,
benefit.
And what is important? What is one part of the question? So, what is aware? So, we are pretty clear about what we are aware of. Yeah, so that's how you now feel, and your thoughts and your commentaries to what I say, and so on and so on. But we ask then the question, so what is that which is aware? And we look into that. We turn attention to its source.
I just also wanted to thank you for
and
this.
In a way, not find. Yes.
I'm
yes,
sorry.
Laura. Where are you in the world?
I'm
Where
in New
are
York
you in the
City.
world? Okay, great.
But I have very fond memories of Denmark from when travel was more common.
Okay.
I wanted to thank you for this very lovely meditation. And I also just wanted to say as well that, sometimes it can be, we can become a bit pessimistic about our ability to develop bodhicitta and these beneficial qualities. But when in this meditation you feel yourself by becoming aware and being in this love and compassion and the awareness of this space and the releasing of the self-grasping, and you feel, you cannot be pessimistic because you feel renewed optimism. I feel renewed optimism just by being in it. And then it
Right.
becomes.
Yes.
So it is
Yeah.
so, so helpful. And I just wanted to really thank you for this.
Mm, mm. Yes, this is a very important discovery. So in the gradual path view, which I in no way put down, or I don't say that they are two different things, the gradual path and the direct path. But in the gradual path, there is this idea of cultivating good qualities. Yeah, like the steps to cultivate this and that, and to the meditations to cultivate bodhicitta. And yeah, that makes sense, and we benefit from this kind of practices. But also, there is a possibility to discover bodhicitta as something which is already present, and it is said in the traditional practices, in the Mahamudra practices, in the Dzogchen practices, that just in the way you described it, when we open this space, then these qualities are already there, and they also want to move us. Yeah, so allowing yourself to be and resting as awareness is not passive. So it's not like giving up, but it is actually a way to reconnect with our resources and reconnect with optimism, as you say. You know? I mean, out of that openness, uh, uh, beneficial actions, wise action naturally arise, and wise speech arises, and not harming others also arises. So one does not need to, that part of us, so that space does not need any vows or does not need guidelines like don't kill, don't steal, because it just doesn't do it. And yeah, and it's a way to allow these qualities to emerge rather than trying to cultivate them,
So helpful.
which is
Thank
one
you.
of, yeah, and one of the challenges in the gradual path model is that sometimes people tend to be violent with themselves through the practices and through visions or ideas how they should be. So the practice in the gradual path model often becomes a straitjacket, uh, and it actually doesn't help to us. It doesn't help sometimes to become more relaxed and kind and open people. So it's one needs to be quite skillful to work with the gradual path paradigm so that it doesn't become a violent practice, to be violent with who we are and to be violent with our feelings and doubts. And uh, the trap in the direct path is that we fool ourselves, yeah, so that we kind of, yeah, I'm already awakened and there's nothing to do, and so I can do whatever I want. Yeah. But in a genuine experience of awareness itself or consciousness itself, and this is quite difficult to convince people about because they need to experience this themselves. So to 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 start to trust one's own goodness, one's own intelligence. So it's a bit difficult in our culture where we grow up with a sense of shame and guilt inside, and I'm not good enough. I need to be more of this. I need to be more of that, and a sense that the 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 value of our life depends on how productive we are, and so it's difficult for us to trust the natural goodness. It's difficult for us to trust the indestructible Buddha nature in us.
So, hi Stephan, this is Atul from.
Yes, hi.
Hi, I'm from India, Bangalore.
Uh-huh.
So, thank
And
you
you
very
are
much for
there?
that
You are there right
nice.
now?
Yes, yes,
You are in India right now? Oh, okay, wow.
yes, yes,
So
yes,
this
yes, yes.
becomes even bigger.
Even bigger, yeah.
Back to Mother India.
Back to Mother India, where it all started.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, thanks for that wonderful session. So, I've been practicing watching awareness for a while now, and what tends to happen with me is I start to observe a hum uh, surrounding myself, like a
Mm,
it's like the sound of
mm,
silence. I mean, there's no external sound,
mm,
but there's that sound all the
yes.
time. It's sometimes all consuming. So my
Mm,
question is, does one let go of that sound and really watch oneself? Because the sound also is an object, or is it okay to just watch the sound and be with that? Because sometimes when I'm watching that sound, everything is just blank. I feel disconnected from everything. So
mm,
am I doing the practice right?
mm. Yeah, thank you for asking that question and trusting me that I might find an answer. Yeah, that's yeah. It is actually called also the sound of silence. You know, there is one teacher, Ajahn Sumedho from the Thai forest tradition. He is using this very much as a meditation object, a primary meditation object. He wrote a book about it. It's called the sound of silence. So it's a common experience. Yeah? Some people would say it's the sound of Om. Yeah, so the sound of the universe. Um, I think I mean, both options are valid, yeah, and one could maybe alternate. So either to investigate into the experience, yeah, like in kind of vipassana style, so noticing the impermanence, noticing the three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, and anatta, um, using that, also using that sound as a shamatha practice, yeah, which is always good. Shamatha is always a good thing to emphasize. So meaning shamatha meaning cultivating the capacity to stay engaged with a primary meditation object. And so that's quite a good part of one's training. And then there, as you said, there is the possibility of using any kind of object. So also that sound to ask this question, okay, what is aware? So you emphasize the awareness of awareness practices. And both directions, so deconstructing the content of your experience, so vipassana, or turning to that which is aware, both directions lead into the same space. Yeah? I mean, it's like the deconstruction of the content of your experience leads into the experience of non-duality, and asking the question, what is aware, leads into the experience of non-duality. And it is the experience of non-duality which is the purpose of this whole thing. It's the purpose of the Tibetan tradition to lead us into the experience of non-duality. So it's a bit of following one's own interest, or what feels wholesome, and playing around with the different options.
Thanks for that.
Is that helpful?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Thanks.
And of course, it is a kind of a bit easier to go towards the exploration of pure consciousness or of unconditioned awareness if there's not so much going on. So that's why, particularly in the Geluk Mahamudra tradition, the emphasis is on first calming down the mind. Yeah. And if one has a natural capacity, like you have this experience of the sound of silence, so that then there's not so much else going on, and there might be a bit more space to actually then explore consciousness. So what is aware? And actually being able to rest there, yeah, without being carried away in the next moment. So when one turns to consciousness itself, so to the knowingness, of course the object like the sound doesn't disappear completely. Yeah, so it's not like that it disappears, but it is a bit of an emphasis, a different emphasis. So either you focus on the content and you deconstruct the content, also, or you also become aware, hey, there is something bigger than that, and you become curious about that as well. Then, of course, the experience of non-duality is then that the sound and the silence are not two different things. Yeah, so it's not like we are looking for the silence behind the sound or separate from the sound, but actually the experience of non-duality is that the sound is a vibration of the silence and is silence in itself. So it's not that we need to look behind it. Yeah, of course, in my meditation I use words like behind or beyond, but that is a temporary position. To separate the silence and the sound is a temporary provisional position. It's not the experience of non-duality. One could also use, instead of the word silence, I could also use the word empty. So those of you who are familiar with the emptiness teachings, the Prasankika Madhyamika view of the emptiness teachings. So if I would use these words, then I would say, so the silence is already empty. The appearances in your mind as they are now, like the sense of I, the problems you might imagine you have, and so on and so on. All these appearances, they are appearances within consciousness, within mind. You perceive them with your mind, and they are already empty. Yeah? So the emptiness of those appearances is not something which is to be looked behind. Yeah? It's within. It's within this experience as it is, where the peace is. So there is a wonderful quote from the root text in the Geluk tradition about Mahamudra, which is written by the Panchen Lama in Shöki Gyaltsen many hundreds of years ago. And he quotes another teacher, and the quote is, "This moment is unity emerging from unity, dissolving into unity." So this moment is emptiness, appearing from emptiness is being empty, and it dissolves back into emptiness. So the sound which is arising in this moment is actually, in its essence, what we are seeking. So the unity we are seeking, the deconstruction of separation, and with that all our defensive, our reactivity. So this moment as it is a manifestation of what we are seeking. And not seeing that, that's samsara. And seeing that, that is nirvana or awakening. I have to say it again. I think it's such a beautiful sentence. That this moment is unity emerging from unity, being unity and dissolving back into unity. Sounds like a crazy new age bullshit quote, but it is. It's it's from one of the really important texts within the Geluk tradition. And because we don't experience this moment as unity, but we experience it from the identification with the narrative self, with the illusion of a separate solid self. So we look from that place. So we have a sense that there's a world out there which is independent from us, and that world is a difficult place. So, and we need to look after ourselves. We need to look after the narrative self, the illusion of a separate solid self. So that's samsara. And awakening would be not only conceptually understanding what was said, which is one step, but then actually experiencing the illusionary nature of this moment, including the illusionary nature of the separate solid self. And then what Laura said, it seems that from an experience like that, intelligent goodness arises naturally, without, may I benefit everyone and stuff like that. I have to be more compassionate or something. It's just the natural response of your true self.
So, Stephan, I have another question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So what I've also found in the practice that you just now walked through is there is still a sense of wanting to get somewhere, even with watching the space. There is always a sense of striving, which you cannot escape. And the more you try to get out of it, the more you strive. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a vicious loop, which can really you can get stuck in it for hours on end.
Yeah.
Because you're struggling with it. So how does one really step away? Because there's almost like a pressure to stay there in that space without clinging on to anything, which in itself becomes a wanting thing, right? So it's a very tricky space.
Yes. one thing I want to say here is that seeking, which you describe, which you feel, and which arises, and you notice in your meditation, if this is really the seeking for awakening, really a deep yearning to come home, to be at peace, then I think it's good to honor that, yeah, and to see it as to see it as a beneficial movement within you. Sometimes people say, you have to give up the seeking, and the seeking is the problem. But it's not like that. No, there is a so don't let go of that seeking prematurely, because that seeking will disappear once you find. And if you would just say, okay, my yearning for awakening, that's the problem, and there's some truth in it, but it's not something you can stop. It will stop once you find. Yeah. So what to do when it arises? And again, there's like maybe two directions. Is to investigate into it. Like okay, where do I feel it in the body? What kind of energy is it? Does it change when I look at it? What is it made of? So again, you use the vipassana insight meditation into the object, yeah, and the object then becomes that sense of seeking. And then one could also go into anatta. So one could then investigate. So who is doing that seeking? So and so on. And the other direction is again the question. Okay, there is seeking. But what is aware of that seeking? So definitely there is something bigger than the seeking. So there's something aware of the seeking. And I'm not the seeking. It's something which comes and goes. But this first thing I said, the yearning, the longing for awakening, that's something precious within our heart. And I think we are all lucky that it emerged in our lives so strong that we started to seek out places like this. And it is that genuine longing for awakening. And here I'm talking about the awakening for the benefit of all, which if you want to have a movement in your mind, which is still a bit of kind of an expression of suffering, you want to have that movement, yeah, because that will be the one thing, the one desire, which will lead you to fulfillment. It is, of course, a problem if that kind of yearning for spiritual experience, for awakening experience, becomes like really grasping, narrow, kind of really interfering with one's practice. So then that is a problem. So then it's good to use that kind of impulse to get you to the cushions, but then once you're there, you just let go. You try to let go. Everything, whatever arises, can be object of meditation in both directions, in the investigation into it through vipassana practice, and then using any kind of experience to ask the question of what is aware, who is aware.
Stephan, I had a question about the role of
Yeah.
worldly enjoyment and even like drama, like watching a play, you know, you have tension and then you have it resolve. And there's something so engaging and interesting about it that offers a type of, I would almost say satisfaction in addition to, you know, the deeper peace, you know. And I'm just wondering, you know, how to balance that, or is it really, you know, substandard compared to, you know, the ultimate happiness that we're striving for or moving towards or discovering as we do these practices?
Yeah, so this type of question can be answered from different perspectives, you know, depending on which level of practices you are on. Like, so if I would answer from the Shravakayana point of view, you know, so then the advice there would be just stay away from these things. It's a waste of time. Yeah? And and then you have vows like maybe kind of the monks, nuns vows, you know, to have a respectful distance from activities and things which tend to bring up attachment. And so that's one level of the practice in the Tibetan tradition. But if we move more into a tantric view, which is kind of the view I'm coming from in these two meetings, then from the tantric point of view, we would seek out experience of pleasure, and we would use the vitality of pleasure to bring into our meditation, into the clarity of our mind. So so this is the art of, so you train yourself in the art of experiencing pleasure and space at the same time, emptiness and appearances together. And that's a difficult territory, of course. But, you know, to be honest, probably most of us, we don't have much choice, yeah? Because we can't, or we don't want, or it's not part of the lifestyle we have to kind of cut us off from this kind of experience. So I think many of us, we only have the choice to explore the possibility to really enjoy what we can enjoy and be mindful about it. So like being really present to the piece of chocolate or to touch or to music or to art, and then finding ways to bring that vitality, to bring that joy into our practice. And that could be in the moment. It could be, for example, so you allow a moment of joy, like a beautiful something beautiful you see, or something beautiful you eat, or something beautiful you watch. So you allow that joy and you soak it in.
Stephan, I think most of us can't hear you. Is that right? Right.
Yeah, we lost him.
That kind of joy. Yeah? So in that way, enjoying things becomes a possibility for us to go into the wisdom part of the teachings and to go also into the method part of the teachings in the bodhicitta teachings.
Stefan, I'm guessing you said
Eh,
something really profound because the moment you said it, your audio stopped.
okay, shit. Yeah, that was the secret teaching.
Yes, exactly. I think the last we heard you was like, you step into joy, and then that was.
Yeah, but now you can hear me. I think my interconnection, my connection is a bit weak.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, time is almost up, so I try to repeat what I said. So from the Shravakayana point of view, from the Hinayana point of view, the teaching would be to take a respectful distance from that kind of experience because the danger of attachment. From the Tantrayana point of view, we explore the possibility to bring the joy into our practice. Yeah. So and to bring the vitality of joy into our practice. So we would seek out experience of joy and develop the skill to be an experience of joy with less and less grasping and with more and more spaciousness, really being present. So one example would be you have an experience of joy, like you have a cocktail, sunrise, you look at the beach, and you really enjoy that moment. To really soak that in, to experience the joy in your body, to become familiar with joy in your body, and to pause, yeah, within that joy in your body, and then do the wisdom move of asking what is aware of this, or who is aware of that joy. And the other possibility is to do a bit of Tonglen practice. So in a moment of joy like that, with the out breath, you share the joy, you share the vitality. So you imagine that you infuse the whole universe with that joy of life, with the joy of aliveness, yeah, with the joy of aliveness. And you wish all beings to experience that joy of aliveness.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can practice with little things. I mean, so there's one way to eat a piece of chocolate cheesecake, a piece of New York cheesecake, with kind of guilt and, oh, this is quite, there's really some Buddhist practitioners who can't enjoy a piece of cake anymore because it's attachment. Yeah. It's I hope nobody of my fellow meditators see that I enjoy a piece of chocolate cake, because it shows that I'm still attached. Yeah. And I mean, in the Shravakayana point of view of teaching, there would be maybe a guideline like that. So avoid chocolate cake for 1 year because it gives trouble. Yeah. But the other way would be to explore and to increase your skill to enjoy, without the interference of guilt and stuff like that, but to enjoy and then bring that joy into your body, that vitality. You will be kinder as well after. I mean, you don't need to. I mean, if you really enjoy the piece of chocolate and you soak in the vitality of the joy, after you will be a more kinder person. because from joy, we tend to be more decent. We tend to be more aligned with our core values. So more joy we have, more. It's a pity that, you know, I notice sometimes practitioners who become more kind of serious in their practice, that they give up some of the things which used to bring them joy, like dancing or playing music, or, you know, some people know, I need to meditate now. I don't have to. I don't have time anymore to play the guitar or play the drums or something like that. And that's really sad, because the, the joy of aliveness and the joy of creativity is such an important resource for us, and we can definitely learn to bring that into our practice, make it into our practice. Dancing bodhicitta, and listening to your love songs for the benefit of all, or as part of your guru devotion.
Thank you. And we are at time, so.
Okay, yes. Yes, so whatever space, loving space arose in our meeting now, any kind of relief, any kind of insight you want to take with you, we share with the world. And it's so beautiful that the space we are covering is very big, so we can feel how loving awareness is raining down to all the people who are between us. Yeah. Okay, so let's conclude. I really enjoyed to meet you. My first appearance in the United States.